guys, it's J Dill here and welcome to the channel, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and check out our Facebook page. It's called Brixton Fatty and give it a like. So today I want to talk about travel and just the general cost of living that has just risen to a astronomical rate. It's a topic of discussion. Like, I keep talking about it with my friends, and then I thought, well, why the heck am I not talking about it now? We'll talk about TfL, Transport for London. If you're in London, you'll know about it. If you're not, TfL is a body that runs the transport in London. Now, since TfL have taken over, things have got even more expensive. Now, I'll give you an example. When I was, about 10 years ago, when I was 15, it was 40p to get a bus as an adult fare. Then it went to 60, then it went to 70, then it went to 80, then it went to £1, then it went to £1.20, then it went to £2, then it went to £2.20. Things have got crazy. And then the buses went cashless, and you weren't allowed to use cash. And they were saying that, they're going to have, they want to know your opinion. And I wrote several times saying how this was a disgrace and I want to be able to pay cash on the buses. But they, nobody listened. And now we have cashless buses. And now a Oyster card journey for one journey is £1.50, which is astronomical. And the tube is just a ridiculous amount of money. A travel card, zones 1 to 2, is over £30 a week. This is extortionate. Now, to even get on a train, a busy train, you're most likely not to even get a seat. Has just got crazy. It's actually cheaper to fly to Scotland or Manchester or even Liverpool than to even take a train. They are so expensive. To get to Scotland, it's over £200. From where I'm living to Gatwick Airport, it's £30. I don't live that far from Gatwick Airport. It is so expensive. It's now become cheaper to drive than to take public transport. It has got a crazy expensive, and I'm absolutely sick of it. Every year it is going up. It's never going down. It's never staying the same. And people are talking about Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, that he's the best mayor. All Londoners love him. Frankly, the jury's still out on that. This is bullshit. Everybody I know and speak to has no opinion on him because he's so ineffective and hasn't done shit for London, because us Londoners want to talk about the public transport issue because it's becoming unaffordable. In Brixton, to park for an hour, it's £4. £4 an hour to park. It has now become cheaper to drive than to take any form of public transport. When I was younger, it used to cost £12 to get to Brighton. Now it costs £36 for a day return. That is how expensive it is. And then you have people saying, oh, but if you book in advance, it's much cheaper. And they have these, it's like, Coventry to London, £18. And then it has a star underneath, like, booking, limited availability, book in advance. But it doesn't really tell you how much in advance. For these deals, most of these deals, you have to book like 5 months in advance. I'm sorry, but who plans their life like that? Who's like, oh, I'm going to London in 5 months? Like, who does that? That's just lame. Life is supposed to be spontaneous and fun, and you can live your life however you want it, but I don't live my life planning everything 5 months in a row. The fact is, tomorrow isn't promised to us, and this is what more of us need to remember. We need to stop worrying about bullshit and remember that tomorrow is never friggin' promised to us, because it really isn't. And that's just the way it goes. So we shouldn't be worrying about this, incredible bullshit. But the fact is, Sadiq Khan, as the Mayor of London, I think he's probably, one of the worst mayors so far. And I'm going, I'm not going out on a limb. He has done nothing. He's totally ineffective. You know, there's a big hoo-ha because he is, you know, he's Asian, he's a Muslim. There's a big hoo-ha about how, you know, he's great. You know, I'll say it again, just because of someone's race, creed, color, or sexuality or gender, it doesn't make them any better or any worse. You can be fucked up and be white, or fucked up and be black. It's just about who you are as a person. Now, the fact is, the cost of living has risen so much that people are continuously struggling. Now, when I was younger, I'm talking 10 years ago, a Best In loaf of bread, so the cheaper brand, was 40 pence. Look how much it is now. It's crazy because we are encouraged to spend, spend, spend. So if you've got the time, buy a bread maker and make your own bread. Everything is so expensive in this country. Things have got out of hand. If you want to take a train to Liverpool, it's going to cost you, you know, well over £120 from London. And the fact is, because the railways are privatised, these people at the top are taking advantage of this, knowing we've got no other way to clamp down. And the fact is, you know, people who drive, they pay road tax. Then they have to buy, you know, have a parking permit. Then if they want to park somewhere else, not in the permitted zone, you know, some of these permits, you know, I tell you who's a really bad place for parking is Brighton. If you've ever been to Brighton, you'll know the parking is hideous. It's so fucking bad and it's so fucking expensive. And they make something like, it was estimated that they make 30 million a year from parking revenue, which if they're telling us it's 30 million, we know it's probably double or triple that. So they're making big money from this. And when you know, there's just nowhere to park. Parking's like £5 an hour, or you can try and find somewhere cheaper a lot further down for £1 an hour, which is a lot more affordable, but still a rip-off. And where a close friend of mine used to live, she had a parking permit, and this permit permitted her to park in 2 roads, and they had the cheek to call it a parking permit zone, and it wasn't a zone, it was 2 roads, you know, like 1.5 roads. It was ridiculous. So you're paying, you know, some of these are like £300 a year, but you're paying road tax, and then you're paying to park when you go somewhere. It doesn't make sense. If you pay road tax, surely you're allowed to park where you are, obviously not on road routes, within reason. And then we have, you know, speed cameras and all this other stuff, and these traffic wardens. And I'll tell you a little story. I went to Brighton with my partner, and we parked up. We stayed at a hotel, and it was supposed to be a romantic getaway, but actually it turned out like we just argued constantly. You know, one of them ones when you think you're gonna go and have a really good time, but actually you just argue. So that's what happened there. That was a couple of years ago now, and with the hotel said, you know, they'll give us a permit. So they gave us a permit, and just because it was one of those ones where you have to scratch out the day and the time and the year, and because they said that you couldn't see Monday scratched out, even though the year and the day was on there, apparently because Monday wasn't clear enough, they gave us a ticket even though we had this permit. And that happens all the time. So if you do get a parking ticket that is unfair, do appeal it, because a lot of the times they do accept the appeal because it's ridiculous. And another time I was in Stratford with my partner again, and she had a permit, but yet they still gave her a ticket even though she had a permit, because they know so many people won't appeal it. It's like, but apart from, you know, the rip-off of road tax and the rip-off for drivers, it's now cheaper to drive, even in London. Then, with the cost of petrol, then public transport, because they know more and more people, like myself, can't drive. More and more people have to take public transport to work. So they're hiking up the prices. And I want to know when the London Mayor is going to address this issue. He's already talked about Southern Rail and how it's a ridiculous rail network, but they're not the only offenders. We want to talk about TfL. Their slogan is, all our money is invested back into TfL. No, it's not. It's not invested. You have a poxy night tube with lax security that's, you know, creepy as fuck. You know, the night tube at night is not fun. It's like something out of a Japanese horror movie. It's just really scary and eerie. You know, they're not doing anything about, again, the politicians aren't talking about the real issues. Transport being too expensive nationally. Train lines. People milking and taking the piss out of us. So the jury is still out on Sadiq Khan, and the Guardian and all the other London papers were saying that he's just so amazing, and Londoners really like him. Well, actually, I don't dislike him. I don't like him. He needs, frankly, he needs to start doing something for the people instead of talking a whole load of hot air. And this is what Labour has come to now. Labour, they were supposed to be a party for the people, and I feel like Labour has two sides. It has that Masonic, Fabian Society, Etonian, Oxford side, and then it has a few people who, went to normal schools, went to normal places, and want decent things, and want to, were opposed to the Iraq War, and want to kind of solve the problem of housing and wealth disparity. Again, Sadiq Khan's not talking about the homelessness. When we have systems in place to systematically tell people, well, if you don't, you've made yourself homeless because you couldn't pay your rent, because you lost your job, and now they're on the street. In 10 years, this country is going to end up like, New York or Paris in terms of the homeless problem. We need the welfare state, and we need safety nets. Now, people are always quick to kick the welfare state and be like, oh, they shouldn't be allowed on benefits, this shouldn't be allowed. We're forgetting, what's the alternative? Do we, just for epoxy, £70 a week when the government is robbing us blind? Would you rather be contributing your 1 penny to that person rather than see them on the street and their life get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse? And then visitors come to our country and they see there's people in the street, and then you get to a point where you're in a developed nation that's becoming like a third world developing nation. This is what makes us different from any other state and from, the third world, the developing nations, is that we have a safety net, which is the welfare state, which stops the poverty. But with our welfare state just diminishing and diminishing and diminishing, there's going to be more of a homeless problem, and there already is. I mean, you walk around London, there's a lot of homeless people. It's becoming a problem, and I don't give a fuck if somebody is new to the country or whatever. They still deserve a roof over their head, even if it's in a shared accommodation, even if they don't get their own couch flat, even if it's shared accommodation. That's what needs to happen. Again, Sadiq Khan is not talking about the homeless problem. Sadiq Khan is not talking about the fact that foreign investors are just, developing in London, making flats that are unaffordable for foreign investors, not for local people. He's not talking about it, and I'm sick of it. The cost of living is becoming a joke. With the council tax, with the bills, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And if you want to save any money, then you need to live frugally. That's the only way to do it, and it can be done by buying in bulk, not buying brand names, and just trying to spend within your means, and not subscribing to this stupid consumerist culture of I want this and I want this and I need this and that, because possessions don't make us feel whole and don't make us feel full as human beings. So that's how I feel. I feel the cost of living is out of control. I feel Sadiq Khan isn't addressing the real issues, and I feel like public transport is a major rip-off. But that's what I think, and we all know that YouTube is about what you think. So let me know what you think, and what you think how about this awful rise in cost of living, and what you do to try and save money.